Hello. Hello. Right. My name is Neelam. So today we start with the Windows Form application. So first of all, we will discuss about this Windows Form application. So what is this Windows Form application? So this Windows Form application is the another we can say template, or we can say the like a part of .NET framework. So this is another part of a .NET framework, or another template of a .NET framework, which we discussed today.
مش ما تفلقت مش ما تفلقت اللي trained them يعرف
Yeah. Yes.
شغل فقط يفسد بطاقة شغله من نفنقص
Yeah. So Windows Form application. First of all, before we start, I just go directly to the Visual Studio to explain you where this template is available in the .NET framework. So right now here I go to the Visual Studio, new project. Inside the C#, so when you click on a C#, there are multiple templates available here. So first of all, we will select the Windows Form application. So this is the Windows Form application, which gives you an environment in which you can drag and drop your controls and work in that. So first of all, I show you how it look like, and right now I save this. So I name this project as a My New Form. Then I click OK. So this is the form. So this is actually the Windows form which is appear when you open a Visual Studio application. Now, so in this location on the top, it displays form 1. Form 1, that is the name of this form. First of all, when I run this form, I click on Start. And I show you how it looks like when you run this form. So the look of this form is something like this, right? So it's something like this. Now, in between this form, we can create our own control. So normally we have seen so many forms, like when you open a Microsoft Office application, that is also a Windows application. In that there are so many ribbons, controls available there, right? So same type of this, you can create your own form. For example, when you go in a bank or railway reservation site, those sites are, some of the sites are designing in a Windows. So those Windows applications are designed with the help of this Windows Form application. Right now I stop this. So this is the Windows Form. Now you want to increase the size of this Windows Form, you can drag and on the left hand side, this is called toolbox. This toolbox contains collection of tools. Right now I minimize this. So here we can see different types of controls are available in this toolbox. All Windows Form, common control, containers, menus and toolbars, data, component, printing. So these are the different types of controls which you can drag and drop it in this form. So we will discuss about all these controls, how to use those controls in our own form. Right now, I want to see the controls name, all Windows form. So in a all Windows form, you can see all the controls which is available in these sub options. So right now I expand this one. Right now this is collapse and I expand. And here, first of all, I drag a label here. So here you see different types of control like color dialog box, combo box. Combo box, another name we called it as a drop down list. For example, when you select your date of birth. So when you click on the date of birth, there is a pull down menu. That pull down menu is actually the combo box. In normal, in a few sites we call it as a drop down button also. So first of all, I need a heading. Heading for that particular form. For example, I create a registration form or online form. So right now, I drag a label and drop it here. Now, I have to change a property of this one. So right click on this label. You see properties. Click on that. That property window is appearing on the right hand side. So this is the property window of label 1. Right? So name of my label is label 1 and text that is written in this label is label 1. So I want to rename this text. Here I type registration form. Then click. So now that label is like this, registration form. Again I click on this property. Then I have to increase the font size. So this is the font option. In a font, you can select the font and font family, whatever you want. Click on that. So it displays a font dialog box. And from this font dialog box, here I change the properties of 20. Something like this. Now after that, you can position it as per your requirement. Now you want to change the color or something. So everything you can apply with the help of this property. For color. So there are custom color, system color and web color. In a custom color, you can choose the colors, web color or custom color. It show you like a color palette. You can choose a color, whatever color for your text you want. So right now, I click blue, something like this. So like this way, we can drag and drop our controls within the form. Now again, right now here I show you like how we use that form, and on the left hand side these toolbox. Toolbox contain multiple controls, and you want to change the property of a control, just right click on that and it show you a properties window. Back to PPT. So Windows Form application. Windows Form provides you projects with components such as dialog boxes, menus, buttons, and many other controls that make up a standard window application user interface. So right now on the left hand side we see there are so many controls. So these controls are help to design a full-fledged Windows application. Full-fledged application like a window application or desktop application which you want for your project. So fundamentally, these controls are just classes from a .NET Framework class library. So we already aware about .NET Framework is a collection of libraries. It's a collection of PE files. PE files stands for Portable Executable File. PE file. So PE files are of two types. One is .exe and second is .dll. Right now I show you where is the .exe file for this Windows form. I right click on this project and open folder in File Explorer. So when you click on open folder in File Explorer, inside a bin, debug, and here you see my new form, that is the project which currently I create, and here is that exe file. So when you create any project, correspondingly your system generate an exe stands for executable file. So it generates an exe so that you can run that project automatically when you click on that. Right now I click on this, so here this is the form. Right now I have not run this project. This is by display me a small form because that exe is generated before I drag that label. Right now I build this application again. Now when I build this application again, it updates my exe. Right? Now I go to this. See that updates which is visible now. Registration form is visible now. Previously when I click on that, it showed me a small form window form. But right now it shows me with registration form because previously I have not built my application. So when you build your application, any updates which you apply in your project, that one is visible. That one is visible in this exe. So exe is actually what? With the help of this exe, you can share your exe rather than sharing the complete code. So exe gives the information like how you design that form. Normally when we create any project or when we share any file, we are not sharing the complete code of that project. We share only the exe file or we share only the DLL file. So exe file helps to run anyone to run that particular project or to run that particular application. Now here I show you the DLLs, where the DLLs are. Assembly information, right now I show that. Okay, this one is different. These, when you expand your project, in that there is a references. These references contain a system. So that system is actually the DLL. System.core is also another DLL. System.data is also a DLL. So these DLLs are required to run your application. So these are the back applications which helps to run my project, which helps to run my application. Double click on this form 1. So form 1, this form 1 is inherited by the form class. Here, in this location, this form 1 is inherited by a form. Right now, right click and go to definition. So form is already a class which is defined by the Visual Studio, which is defined by the Microsoft, and this form contains multiple properties here. You can see those properties by pressing F12 function key on that particular control. So here you see public class form, and this form already derived by the container control. And this container control and this form class contain multiple properties, methods, and different events and attributes. So these are the predefined attributes related to this form, right? So suppose sometime you want to see like from where it get that information. So when you right click on that, you can see those information. And system DLL, that system DLL, when you expand this one, here you see the complete reference of that. So when you go to that link, you can see the DLL files of that. So right now, I copy that and I go to form, B, and this one. Now after that, here you see there are so many DLLs available. So these are the DLLs which is provided by the Microsoft for to run a .NET application. because we know that .NET Framework is a software which collaborate or which helps you to create your projects in a different language. For example, you know C Sharp, you know VB, you know F Sharp, J Sharp. So all the DLLs are available in this section. So these DLLs are, we can say in another term, these are the backend files which helps to run our project. So right now I select a window form. For a window form, we need a DLL. Those DLLs are available from this location. So that's one. I close this. So actually what we call this form class, actually this is here on the top you see form from metadata. So this is what? This is the metadata of that. Metadata means data about data. Data about data of this form class. Now I want to see container control class. So go to definition. This is the container control class. That container control class again inherited by the scrollable control and iController container controller interface. So like this way, one class inherited by the another and another class inherited by another by different interfaces or by different classes. Close this one. This is the registration form. Now, so fundamentally, these control are just classes from a .NET Framework class library. So right now I show you .NET Framework class library. This one is the .NET Framework class library, in which you see the different type of DLL files are available, which helps to run your application. So the designer view in a Visual C# Express Edition enable you to drag control on your application. So recently I dragged this label control. Now I want another control on this location. So drag and drop it. This is the button. Now again I have to change a property. On the right hand side I have this property window. Click on that. You can see property. This property is related to the button 1. Now I have to change this text. Here I click type show message MSG. Font. Size 16, bold, and OK. Then increase size. You can increase size by clicking on this, or otherwise with the help of this location you can specify the height and width of that button, right? Otherwise that depend on your font size. With the help of that you can change by using this, right? Now I want a pop-up message. When I click on this button, I want a pop-up message on this. So double click on this button. When I double click on this button, it jumps to the backend screen. So here we see private void button 1. Button 1 is the name of that button. Underscore click. Underscore click is the event of that button, right? There are different type of events like click event, double click. Here you can see button click event, right? There are double click events. So whatever the event you want, you can define those ones. First of all, I want a message. When I click on a button, I want a pop-up message on my screen. So here I type message box dot show. Expression form. Suppose this. Now I run this application. Start. This is the registration form. Now, when I click on this button, here I got a message. This is new registration form. So this one we call as a pop-up screen. So suppose when you submit your form or when you enter information, you want some pop-up messages that you can get with the help of this. Same thing you can see with the help of exe. Right click, open it, bin, debug. And now I run this new form. without running my project, I want to run my project with the help of EXE, double click. See. So now that final output is visible, I click on show message, this. Right? So without running your project, when you run a EXE, you can directly see the result of your project. So the designer view in a Visual C# Express edition enable you to drag the control onto your application's main form and adjust their size and position. So now in my form, I adjust my button, I put a label on a proper position where I want. As you do this, the IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So Visual Studio itself a integrated development environment in which you can create your projects in a different template. Add the source code to create an instance of appropriate class and initialize it. So Windows Form application, example to complete the following task, create a new window form application, toggle between code view and a design view. So now here I show you where this code view. This view is the code view in which we write our own messages. And this is the design view. Design view in which we can see all the controls. So whatever control you want, you can see those controls with the help of this. Right now, here I add, for example, first name, label, and go to property. Here I change this text for name. And font size I define 12 for this. Okay. Same way, I want like last name, Control C, and copy and paste. This. And then F4. When you press F4 function key, automatically it shows you properties. And here I change this name, last name. And I want this button on the bottom, and corresponding to this, I want a text box. Drag and drop it here. First text box, change font size, change the size to 12, and I within this text box. So here there are different properties. Name. In a naming section, text box 1. I change this name. So when you define a text box name, first of all, for a text box shortcut is TXT. And then here I define first name. First name at capital and name, next word, name and capital, like this. Then I increase this one. Again I want same text box for last name. So I copy this one and I paste it here and put it in a proper location. Then F4 function key and name this as TXT last name. And one more text box, Control C, Control V. Here. And what I want, when I click on this button, I want first name and last name together. Here in this section, I want a full name. So, Control C, Control V. F4. Full name. This. So suppose this is a separate button. I create a new button for full name. F4. For button, when we define a button name, so here we use BTN. BTN full name. And I show you where we can see this BTN full name. Sorry, this is not in text. Here I type it. March name. March name I give. Font size April 16. Okay. And here in our naming section, BTN full name. Yes. Now I double click on this button. So here you see private void button full name underscore click. So this is the code design window. In which we can write our own code. So suppose I want to go in a design section, form.cs design. On the top of my Visual Studio, you see that screen, form1.cs design. This is the design screen. Now I want to go in a back screen where I can write a code, form1.cs. So this is the code screen. Now I want full name in text button 3. So here txt full name is not there. F4. Okay, it should be txt merge. I mean txt merge. Now double click. This is the code window, and here txt merge dot text is the property. The text is the predefined property of a text box control. Equal, and here I use txt first name dot text plus txt last name dot text. Then each statement terminated by semicolon like this. So what this text property contain? Whatever the information I type in a text box, that one I can see with the help of this text property. Otherwise, if I define only this one, so this txt first is just the name of the text box, but how can I get a value of the text box? That value I can get with the help of a property, that is the text property. So this text property is defining, that is the mandatory to define the text property. So first what it did, it add first name dot text plus last name dot text, and it add the text property, whatever the value of first name and last name, put it in a new text merge.txt. Now I run it. Here I type name, Michelle, and last name Platter. Now I click on merge name like this. So Michelle Platter, that is as a full name. In between this I want a space. So how can I put a space? One way we can add an additional text box, or otherwise what we do here, I have to put a space in between a first name and a last name. Here I use double quotes and merge. So plus work as a merge, plus sign work as a concatenate. Now again I run this. Michael Parker merge like this. So for this last text box, you can change a color, you can change a font size, whatever you want to define, you can define in a property section. Right? So this is like a simple registration form. Now, when I complete this information, after that, after clicking on a merge name, I want like your form submitted or your information completed. So here I want a pop-up message. So just after this, here I type message box dot show. Successful. And semicolon. Now I run this. Michelle selected, merge, and automatically it shows me this message. Information field successful. right? So this is like a simple form. Here we go in a code behind. So this is called as a code behind, where we create information and design it. Yes, any doubt?
Milyon jet var önümün. ሲሻላል ያ ዛሬ አንድ ኤጀንት መልኩኝ ፕሬዘንቴሽን ማታ ከቴን ኦክሎክ በኋላ ሰጣለሁ ኦንላይን
any doubt? Yeah, so I move to the next. Now, next one, minimize this and right click, add. Before this, I show you one more thing. What does program.cs do? Double click on this here. This program.cs, as we know, when we run a console application, by default there is a main method. So main method which helps to execute our program. So same case in a Windows form. When we create a Windows form, there is a predefined file. That file name is program.cs, and this program.cs contains a method name that is the main method, right? So when we run any project, so main is the entry and exit point of that project. Same case in a Windows form. When I run my Windows form, first of all, my application goes to the program CS. It runs this program CS main, and then after in this main, here I define what is the name of my form. That is the form 1. That form 1 is running on this location. So same way in this project, I create another form. Let's see how can I run that second form. Right click, add, new item, and in this location I create Windows form, second form. So name of this form as a form2.cs. Now I click add. So this is the second form and this one is the first. Now in the second form, design part, here I design something. F4, go to the properties. Welcome. Button name I change, BTN, show, and message. How will I write that? Go. Now I double click on this. So when I type a text box, welcome. So I want that message in a pop-up screen also. F4, change this text box name. TXT message. Go. This is the second form, and now I increase the size 50. here I okay, welcome. Now, first of all, I run this and show you what it displays. Now, it again show me the form number 1. How can I see the form number 2? Right now, suppose in my project, I have 2 or 3 forms. I want to run now form number 2. How can I check that one? So, in that location, close this one and go to Program CS. By default, here it shows application.run. Which form you want to run? I want to run form number 2 now. I have to type here form 2. So from this location, you can specify which form you want to run in a current scenario or in a current location. Now I click on start. Now it show me form number 2. Now here I type my go. Welcome my. Right? So suppose you have a multiple form and you want to run a specific form, you can define with the help of this. Same thing right now I define a this one. This is the click event. There are more events available to that particular button. I go to button, right click on this and properties. And in a properties section, you see this one, events. These are the events which is related, which is available with that particular control. I click on this, here, click event is available here. Right? Different type of like drag, drop, drag, enter, drag, leave, something like this. So different events are available here. Mouse click. So in a mouse click, you can see mouse click event is here. Right? So you want to change your event name or you want to specify a different event, right click on that particular control, go to properties and this is the event window. So when you click on that event, just click on that event. After that, automatically that event is created. You can see that event in our code behind. So now I don't want to use this event or otherwise I want to use this one, not a click event. Control X, Control V. I put it here, right? Otherwise I leave it here also. Yes. Welcome. Here I change that message to my project. Something. Right? Right now I put it in a comment like this way. I define this statement as a comment. Now start. Click mouse. Right now I have not defined any text. That's why only welcome message is visible. Here I define a text. Welcome one. Go to design, F4, and here different types of events are visible. Key press, key down, key up, these are the different events. Mouse down, mouse event, and mouse up, leave. So different types of event you can see with the help of this. Right? So whatever event you want, you just define that event name on this location and you can work on that. Right now, suppose I define a key up. So just click on this, automatically it define a button name. What I did in that location, F4, and suppose here I want another event. For example, key down event. I click on this location on the left hand side of this property, key down. Automatically after that it show me button, show and name of the event. I double click like this. And then when I double click on that, it create the event like a code behind the screen for that particular event like this way. So this one is automatically appear. I have not typed this. When you double click on that, automatically this particular messages appear on the code behind screen, on this code screen, right? So Control V, welcome to, for example, here I write a event name, key up event, suppose. Control C, So here I type key down event. And I start this one. This type Peter and like I use tab key. So this is the key up event, right? I use like space bar because my cursor is on the go button. So here it show me welcome to key down event. So like the way like you want to work on a different event, you just work with the help of this. So sometimes we don't want, suppose mouse is not working at that time, I have to use my tab button. So with the help of that, you can also define your particular event action. So events are actually what? These are the action at which moment you want to run that action. Right? So I want to run that action on a mouse click, on a key up, on a key down. So you can define according to that. Go to the PPT. So create a new Windows Form application, toggle between code view and the design view, which I show you now. Change the Windows Form properties, how to change a property of a particular control. So when you work on a property, make sure that you can check all the options of that property so that the work becomes easier for you. For example, right now this is the button and I press F4 function key. So related to this button, right now this is the events, right? Again, I go to the properties, click on this property. Different types of properties are available on this. You want to change your background color, you want to change your background color with image, you can define those ones. You want to change your background color, layer title, tile or something, you can change those ones. These are the appearance. Then flat appearance, flat style, standard style, you want to define any other style, you can choose those ones, pop up or something, right? So this one is the property related to my button. Click on this. I want to change a property for my form 2. Click on this. This is the form 2. Now I want to change a text instead of form 2 or otherwise. Here I define like welcome screen. So the text is welcome screen. So this is the property related to my form. Again, right click or press F4 and form 2 for color. That for color is for text and background color for this. Click and I want to change the color. Suppose this. So that background color is different. So from this location you can change your particular form appearance. You want a different color, you want something else in that, you can change that. Suppose this one, right, you can do. Now start. Like this. And I want to use the event, tab, key up event. Okay, and key down. Both events are visible here. Right? So any doubt on this one? Now jump to the next one. Again I create a new form, add new item and Windows form. Form 3 for example, add. Or otherwise I change this one. So here I created 3 buttons with the language English, French, and German. So sometimes when you see websites, that websites are designed in a different language. It provides you an option. You want to open that in English, in a French, or in a German. So you can choose the option from there. So right now, for example, I want to display a message in English first of all, then in a French and in a German. So how we do that one? So right now I have to define on a click event or something new event. Suppose this English. Here I go to the properties, F4, event, and mouse click, this. Second button, okay, button name I have not changed. So suppose I change those button name, properties, btn1 in place of that, btn eng, English. Oh, then second button, for btn French, btn German. Now double click, delete these ones. So right now which one is working? Right now these two are not working. Why? Because I changed my button name. Right? So here I delete that code because previously I defined first English for English. So here I define, or suppose I put a message on a text box. Yes. Is there something? Design a button, mouse click. Okay. Mouse click. I showed it. That one is. Button. BTN English underscore click. Okay, this event is added automatically. Because of this, it display an error message. Build first English. Okay, button 2 also. Right now I don't want these events. That's why I display an error message. Build your application. Suppose you got this type of error. First of all, you can build them and check the events. Automatically, it shows you this event option. Now, again, I go to font 3 design. This F4 event. Right now, there is no event. Now, click on mouse click. Mouse click event. And before this, I want a text box here. Message. Good. Right. So in that text box, I want txt message dot text equals language. For example, this on 3. I want same message for French. For this French, right now I don't know how to use that. Okay, one thing I do. Okay, see. Okay, right. So this one I copy. Okay, by French. Right. This one I copy. Now txt message dot text this. Then next one for German. Also txt message dot text. Right now this one and in plus of French. German. Like this. Right? So these three languages I defined here. Now I start. So when I started, which page it run? By default it run a form 2 because in program.cs form 2 is mentioned. So I have to change that. Here I change this with form 3. I have to run form 3, start. This one. First of all, English. So this page is designed in English language. I want the same message in French, and then in German. So same way they design a web pages, like you want to see a web, there are web pages with a 3 different language options. So how it works, because they define 3 pages for that same page in a 3 different language, so that those who know French, they can read it in a French, they can read it in a German or any other language in which that particular page is designed. So same thing we can do in this section. You can create same form, but you have to define a different buttons or different options for that to choose a different language there, right? So here we discuss about the different events and we discuss about the different properties of that control. Now again I go to this location. So add a menu stripe control, add a button control that we discussed, create and populate a combo box and use a web browser control. So we will discuss one by one about this one. First of all, window form application. So how we create a window form application? Go to file and new project. In that you can see a window form application. So when you select a Windows dialog box, it appears the list of the default application types. Right now again I show you about this default new project. So this is the template. On the left hand side, template options are available. First of all, you have to choose a language, C#. Then in a C# by default, different templates are available. You want to go only in the Windows application, click on a Windows desktop. These are the applications which is related to the Windows, right? Suppose I have to see web application, I click on web, all web related applications. So now Windows application, whichever application, whatever the application you want to select, you can select from this section. Then select the window form application as your project type. After that, change your application name in for this one. So here, whatever the application name you want to define, you can define that, specify location for your application and create as a new solution or within the existing solution, you can use like this. Add to the solution means add to the solution in the same project. The project which is currently running, within that you want to add that project. Then click OK and Visual C# Express Edition create a new folder for your project that name after the project title, and then display a new window form titled Form 1 in the designer window, which we check recently right now as this one. Right now the title for this form is a Form 3 because I created 3 forms in this project. By default it will display you Form 1 as a title. So you can switch between your view and a code view at any time by right-click the design surface or a code window and then clicking view code or a view design. Then window form, you see a designer view is a visual representation of a window that will open when your application is open. So this is the designer view in which I can see all my controls which I put in my application, right? And this one, form designer.cs. This is the code behind window. Close this form.cs. Designer.cs, what it contains? This designer.cs actually it contains all the controls which I add in my form. Here I show them. Private void initialize component means how many buttons I add in my current form. I add 3 buttons. First one is the button English, French, German, and there is one text box, and this is like a predefined method. Now after that, for a button English, I define all these options. Font. So whatever I did in my property section, those properties information is recorded here in a CS format that you can see with the help of this form3.designer.cs. So designer, what it contains? Designer contains how many controls you create, and the property, whatever the properties you apply on your button, those properties are written here in this format. So font. Font by default available in a namespace in a DLL, that is system.drawing. And here, whatever the font I define Microsoft, Sans Serif 15, System Drawing, Font Style Bold, and these options. So that option is automatically visible. Location of my button. So this is the left and right, X and Y coordinate. That one is visible here. My button name is this. Size of that button, height and width. Tab index. I have not defined any tab index. Tab index means after clicking on button 1, my cursor jumped to the button 2, button 3 like this. So right now English is the first button, French is the second tab index. I show you how this tab index works when I run this project. Start. Here I show you the tab index. Right now English is highlighted, that is the tab index 0. Now I press tab. French, this is the tab 1. German is the tab 3, and then text box, that is the tab 4 option. So tab index means the way my cursor moves in between my window form application. So these controls are not really live, they just images that are convenient to move around on the form into a precise control. So these images, these controls are work like an image, right? So when these controls work, when we define an event on that, when suppose I click on that button and then it pop up a message, it shows me something like that. So after you have dropped the control onto the form, Visual C# works behind the scene to create a code that will cause the real control to be positioned correctly with the program is run. So right now in a designer section, when I define any property for my button, for my control, those properties and controls are automatically recorded in this design section. So this happens with all the forms. Whatever the property I define, those properties are automatically recorded in this location. Like this. So this is about a button 1, English, then for a French and for German, and for text box I define some property for that like font, for color, location, name. So those properties are automatically recorded. So these properties you can see when you run your form. So this source code is in a file that generally nested out of you. You can see this file in a solution explorer, which is named as form1.designer.cf, and if you expand form1.cf. So right now we can see this file. right? So these are the properties which I apply directly by clicking on the property window. So right now this properties is not available because I select .cs file, designer.cs file. So designer.cs file is the code behind file. So when you select a code behind file, you can't see the property. Your property window is blank. So how can I see my properties? So I click on form3.design and now I press properties. Here I can see the properties. Right, so you have to remember that when this property window show you the result and when it doesn't show you the result. So when you are in the code behind screen, at that time you can't see the properties. When you are in your controller part, when you are in the designing part, at that time you can see all the properties. So if you are in a code view, switch to a design view by right clicking the code window or click a view designer. Now you can change your window size of the window font. So from this location in the designer section, you can change size of your window font. So this is the property related to the font. So that's why here this keyword stands for the current application. Right? So in a current application, this dot text message means in form3 dot text message tab index 3, form3 dot text message dot size is this. So this stands for the form3, right? So click on the lower right corner of the window form. This is about how to change the size of the window form. And when a pointer becomes a double-headed arrow, drag the corner until it is at last as wide as deep as a quarter of your screen. So here, discuss detail about this one, like this. This way, you can increase or size of your font, increase or decrease whatever you want. You can do that one with the help of this. So how you can do that? First of all, right now here. So right now I have to select my form. After that I can increase or decrease size of my form. Same thing I can do with the help of the properties also. Form 3 and with the help of this size property I can change size of that. Right? Then because of this window, this is the window in which web pages will be displayed. You do not want to be cramped. So make sure property window is displayed. Suppose your property window is not visible on your screen. Right now, there is no property window. How can I see a property window? One option, click on English, press F4. Automatically your property window will appear. Right? Then, second one, view, and in a toolbar there is a properties. Not in this one. Not in this one. Solution Explorer is there. Okay. My form properties. No. So with the help of that I got this one. Other windows. Toolbox, properties managers, pages. Not on this one. Okay, I will check right now. I remember this one by using F4 function key. Right, I will check where that one is available in this one. Right, properties. With the help of F4, we can see the properties, but right now not in this standard. Okay, one thing, yes, we can check with the help of this. Right click by using properties. So by two ways we can see the properties. One is using F4, properties, window. First one, press F4 function key, and second one, right click on the control. Select properties like this. So the property window in a view menu, click properties window, but why is it not in my screen? And okay, on the bottom, that's why it's not visible. Properties window, that is in the view menu. Third one, view menu, properties. Right. So you have a multiple option, either you use a right click and properties, otherwise you can press F4 function key, or in a view menu. So in a view menu, by default that one is hide on something like this on the bottom. So this window lists the properties of the currently selected Windows form or control, and it's here that you can change the existing values. So change the title of a window form, click on the OM form to select it. In the properties window, scroll down the text, select the text form 1 and type web browser. Press enter or tab, move or focus on the text box. Now you see text at the top of your window form in the area is called a title bar has changed. So how to change this title bar? Right click, properties, form 3, and there is a text. Choose language like this. So when you click on choose language, here you see the title bar is changed. Click on start. So choose language. Next one. So to quickly change the name of a control, right click the controls and click a property, and you can type the new name for the control in a name property. So same thing we have done in this section. Right click on this properties, and in a text section, text, here I type this text, and name is this one, BTN English. BTN English, where it display that BTN English, that is in the code screen. BTN German, BTN French, BTN English. So in code screen, we can see the button names. So click the toolbox button on the toolbar or on the view menu. Click a toolbox, scroll down, and list of controls, expand and menu toolbar until you see menu strip. Now for this menu strip here, I create a new project within my existing project. So what I do, I minimize this project and I close all these. Projects right now. This, right. So within the same solution, right click, I want a new project, add new project. Windows form, this is my second project, right? And in this, I name it as a my menu. And then click OK. So now what I did, within the same solution, I added another project, right? First of all, before writing in this project, I show you when I run this, what happened in this solution right now. When I run it, so it show me the previous project result. But what I want to run my current project which I created recently. So how can I do that? Close this. I have to run this my menu as the current project. So one thing, right click on your solution, go to properties. Here you see single startup project. You want to run single project at a time? Yes. Click my menu. I want to run from right now. Okay. So my menu is highlighted. Now I run this, see what it displays. So now my menu is running, right? So suppose in your solution you have more than 2 projects, more than 3 or 5 projects. You want to run multiple projects together. How you can run those projects together? So right now in this location I run the current project which I created. Again right click, go to properties. I have to run multiple projects together. Click on multiple startup project. Now my menu that the action is none. I have to start. My new form, action is none, start that. Then apply and OK. That's all. Now again I start form 1 and form 2. So like this way, suppose you want to compare 2 projects, you want to run 2 projects simultaneously, you can run with the help of this. You can choose the multiple projects and you can run. Right now this, and suppose I put anything on this button or on this form, I can run both the projects simultaneously. So this one, it's the same like multitasking, in which you can run a multiple task or multiple projects together. Now again right click. I want to run one project at a time. So go to single startup, then OK. That's all. Now for this one, what I want a menu, something like this, which is visible on this screen. File menu. Inside this file, I have new, open, add, source, add, close, something like this type of pull down menu I want on this project. Edit. So how we do that one? Go to this here. In all menu, we have a menu strip. Click on this menu strip and drag and drop it. This. So this is the menu strip which is added. Right now type here. So type here, first of all I have to define my first menu. So here click on this. Here I click file. So when we click on file, oh, close this, I don't want that. This. Right now after this file, I want a pull down menu for this file. Click, type here. Here I type new, then open, then save, close, exit. Right? This is the first file menu. Now corresponding to this file menu, I want another one, same like edit. So let's see in edit, undo, redo. These options we have to define. Click on this, edit. Then in edit, undo, redo, and cut, copy, paste. Right? Now first of all I show you how it looks like. Go to start, and in this location I click on file, new, open, save, close. This pull down menu. Same in edit, undo, redo, cut, copy, paste. Right? So these options are visible here. So this one is about the menu stripe. Now within this menu stripe, I want to add it. For example, new. So generally when we click on a new, for example, I use here. You see that file under F keyword, there is an underscore sign, means we can open this file menu with Alt F like this, right? Same thing for new. I have to open a new dialog box. I click Alt N, right? Something like that. So how we do that one? I have to define an underscore sign with these keywords. So for this one, click on this F2 and ampersand sign I define before that keyword N. Then see here. This. For open, before O, ampersand sign, you have to define at the rate, sorry, not this and sign you have to define. Then same for file, to home at this one. Same for edit, to, for example, D and like this. This one. Now here I show that. Alt. So when I press the Alt key, you see this file underscore F underscore D. Now click this. Right? So with the help of this, you can create your these menus and you define an option like Alt key combination. So you have to use at the rate, sorry, ampersand sign before that particular keyword. So this is the one way. Now second one. Form and I change the price. I don't want this load and open menu to make this ones. In designer, first of all I show you what is the name of my menu. So name of that menu strip is menu strip 1. I use this name. I go to my form behind code. I use control C, dot, and here I use back color. Back color I define color dot. For example, I use orange red. This then one dot four colors. Same thing I can do with the property, but right now I show you how we can change without using property. So that's why here I type for color dot black, and font I change menus dot font new font, and here I define remove size, that is for example 14 is okay. Yes. Now I run this, otherwise I go to the form design, ignore, okay, click event. Let's see, to click I define somewhere. Let's start this. Terrorist. This one. I don't want this one. Home. Shift and delete. And one more event I define, I think. And go to error list. Form load. We don't want this load event also. Yes, now start. This one. So now my file menu, that is orange, and font size you see that is the different one, right? So where I did that changes, I did that changes in the form1.cs. I define those properties directly in my code without using the property window, right? So you can change this option with the help of this. Same thing, yeah, properties. Go to design first, click properties, menus, right? One and horizontal stack over layout stack, vertical width overflow, something like this. Let's see how it look like. So it should look like something, right? So suppose you have a small screen and you want to work according to that, you can change with the help of this property. uh, properties, not in a table, that is like a normal flow. Mm, Dock on the top, right? That in a dock, you see that by default that menu stripe is available on the top. I want it on the left hand side, like this. Here I show you that, like this, right? Uh, Properties, that is menu, and where's the top? Left or right, or otherwise top right. Like this way, we can define this thing. Next one. For this open. Open file dialog. I'll drag and drop it here. So here I want like different dialog boxes should be up here. And then one more I define with it save. There is save file dialog. This one. Now. So what I want, when I click on file open, it show me an open dialog box. Otherwise when I click on save, it show me a save dialog box. So how we do that one? So first of all, what I did, there are the open dialog box and save dialog box. These are the controls which is available here. So which you have to define in this section. And default name for open file dialog box, that is open file dialog box 1 and save file dialog 1. Right now I double click on save file first, this. So automatically it define a click event for this save. Now here I have to write a code for this save. Save file dialog dot filter. One dot filter equals different text file. File extension for text file is .txt. So where this information is available, I show you after this code. Otherwise, star.txt or I want all files on file star.star star.dash like this. So this is the filter condition which I define. I want all the text file, otherwise show me all file option. Now if here I define save file dialog dot show dialog equals dialog result dot okay. O capital K capital. Here I define a variable save save file dialog dot file name. One text box I put on this location. So this. File control dot system dot io. File dot write file text, that is data txt1 text. This one. So right now, first of all, I'll show you this one, how it works. Click on this. After that, I explain this code. Go to File, Save As. When I click on Save As in a file menu, again I show you that how it appears. Go to File, Save. In Save menu, underscore click, I define this code, right? So when I click on this, that code is open, and here this is the Save As window. Save As dialog box, right? And here save as type txt file. This txt file which I define on this text file, right? So that one is visible here, text file. Otherwise, normally you see you want to save it with all files, so that one is visible on this location. That's why here I define a filter. You want to save that file as a txt or as a all files, you can define that filter in this location. And save file dialog one dot show dialog. This show dialog will display this dialog box. So if this dialog box result is okay, right now the dialog box result is okay because the dialog box is successfully open on my screen. After that, save dialog dot file name. Whatever the file name I define, I put that file name in this location, right? So here I define a file name where you want to save it. You can specify a location for that one. Right now, save file, anything I define, then I click on save, right? So close this. So like this way you can see here save file dialog box. Same thing I have to define for the open file dialog box. So that's why in this location I drag these dialog box controls. These dialog box controls, what it display, it show you the dialog boxes on your screen, right? So same thing I have to use for the open. Click on open and this one. So I have to type a same code, but I have to use open file dialog for this one. So whatever the code for the save, same thing I have to use open file dialog, this one, dot filter, and here I define. So I copy this one, same, Control C and Control V, delete extra, and this. So first of all I define a filter, then I have to use if open file dialog dot show dialog equals dialog result dot okay. If the dialog box is open successfully, so this one. And here we define a string open file and open file dialog dot file name. The text box I want to show that file name. File capital dot read on text and open file. This. First of all, I have to specify the file name. Suppose I save this file. Save as in demo. One file and state this. Now, this. Run this first. Go to this file. Okay. So this open dialog box is visible, and I go to eDrive, demo. Where is that file? Open my file. This. So whatever I written in that one I can see in this text box. Right. So right now I want to read my complete file. So how can I read that complete information of that file? So I do one thing here. Go to design, text box, and go to property of this text box. And here I click multi-line option as true. Right. Then again I run this file, and open it on files. So here you see text file and all file, which I defined in the filter section. So all file, open file, PE. Okay, for a multiple line, I have to expand that text box like this one. I show you what is the difference in a multi-line and a single line. F4. When I define it as a false, so only suppose I try to expand this. I want to increase this height of this text box. That is not visible. It will not allow me to increase that. So I have to increase height. So I have to define true option for that. Then after that, for this multiple this square boxes are available. With the help of that, I can increase size of this text box. Now I run this. File, open, and all files, open file, this. So whatever is written in that notepad, I can see that information in my text file, in my text box. Right. So this is the option. Like this way, we can define a different dialog boxes. So there are other dialog boxes available in this screen. For example, in a edit, I define another one. For example, font. Right. I define font here, and I define shortcut key for this. To O. Now, double click on this font. For this one, first of all, for font, I need a font dialog box. Drag and drop it here. Right? Then edit. Otherwise, go to font CS. This one. And here I use if font dialog one dot show dialog is equals to dialog result dot OK. Then in our text box, I want the information of that font. Text box one dot text. Text box one dot font equals whatever the font dialog I select, whatever the font I select from the dialog box, I want to see that in a text box. This text box one dot font color equals font dialog dot color. Now I run this. Yes. And edit. Otherwise, if I use Alt key, Alt, Alt O, I think. Font dialog, and I select what I defined, font color, and one more thing I defined, font. Right. Suppose I type this monotype, cursiva, and color option is not there. Maybe I select any other one. Font style, right. Okay. Once again I build it. Build it again first. Start. Okay. Right. Suppose this one, and 16 actually. Okay. See that text box font, that is different. Hello, white. Right. So this way we can change that option. I select from my font dialog box, I can see that. Again I show you that one. I select any other one, like MS. No. Suppose this, when I in place this one, size, I think that doesn't matter because I have to define a size for that. Okay, this one. So that one is reflected here. In a font dialog box, whatever I select, that one is reflected in my text box. Clear? So like this way, we can define a different font options for this one. Now, next one, I have to change the color option. So, design, and suppose I define a different one. Colors, suppose I change the color or anything. Change colors. Suppose with this new menu I define, and here color dialog, add that one. Where is that? This one. Right. Edit, change color. This one. So if dot data equals dialog result dot OK. Xbox one dot backwards equals color dialog dot color. So build it first. Start. And change color. I change this color to suppose brown. Okay. And I change right now here you see font size is different. I want to change font, suppose 20, bold. Okay, like this. Hello, and background color I change, not this dark one, light color, light or this one. Right. So with the help of this, we can use the different dialog boxes and we define options for it. Same thing. Close, design, and
Touch screen. Yeah. What the fuck? My bad. Yeah, man, I'm muted. What? What did you do that for? I didn't do it. No.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Next one is the folder. I have to see the folder, like where I have to save my file or where I go in my particular location. So in this location, we have a folder browser dialog. I drag and drop it here. Now, so default for this one, I create a new, we can say menu that is empty right now. I double click on that, right? So this is the folder tools type menu item, and here I define folder browse dialog one. Then root folder. So I want complete path of my folder in my text box, right? Whatever the folder I select, I want that complete path of that. So for this one, we define environment is the keyword which is related to this Visual Studio environment. Dot specific folder dot desktop. This one, right? So in a Visual Studio, when I open a folder dialog box, after that in a specific folder of my desktop, I want to see path of that. So if, again for this one, folder dialog box dot show dialog box is equals to dialog result dot OK. Then text box 1 dot text equals, just a moment, then folder dialog box 1 dot selected path, this one. Now I run this. First of all, when you run any application, make sure that in between your project you can build that, so that sometimes that updates are not visible. So better you can build it, all the updates, whatever you customize or where you do changes in that, that will be automatically reflected in your project. Now I click on start folder. Suppose I define E drive and downloads, file sample, PPT. So that path is visible in my text box. Now I want to increase size of this text box. Go to this font, and with the help of this, you can increase size. So now this time it works same like as we work on this section, right? So this is about, like in a Windows form, we can create our own menu stripes. We can create our own, we can customize our project as per our requirement. Now again we go to the PowerPoint slide. So this menu stripe is clear. So with the help of this, we can define the multiple menus option here. So this control create a default menu at the top of the form. In the box that say type here, type the name of menu. In this case, navigate. When you press enter, new empty boxes appear to create other menu and menu items. In the lower box, type home, press enter and more, right? So in that location, I define a different options so that you can work on that. I define different dialog boxes so that you can work on that one. So these menu items from your basic website navigation controls. So with the help of that, you can navigate in a different locations. Add a button from the toolbox, the common control category, drag a button control in the appropriate the middle of the Windows form and just under the menu bar in a property, change the title property, go inside. Now in this location, what they discuss about, first of all, I go to the next PPT slide, and after that I should add a control box from a toolbox, combo box. Now next one is the combo box. How we do define a combo box here? I minimize the size, and there is a combo box. Another name of combo box is a drop down menu, right? So drop down menu. Now I want to define some values for this one. Right click on this window, edit items. Now here I define country's name, I define D. Then OK. Now first of all I start it. And here this. So with the help of this, you can create a drop down menu and you can see your values, whatever you define in that one. Again I click on this like this. Right. So that one is a combo box which they discuss on this location. From the toolbox in a common control category, drag a combo box control and position it to the left of the new button. Drag the edge and control corners to resize and reposition the combo box until it is lined up with the button. So populate the combo box. Populate means enter values in your combo box. So one way you can define a value in your combo box, left click on this, edit item. This is the one way. You want to add a new values, you can add a new values. Okay. Second one, right click, go to properties and item collections with the help of this. So go to items in our property window and in a collections, you can see there is like three dots means it's open a dialog box. Click on that and here string collector and the collection editor. You can enter more names in that. Now, put another combo box and we define name for this combo box as combo box. Suppose name I define and here I define a button F4 show. This one. Okay, right, this one F4. Here it's show and on the bottom I change that name, it's a BTM. Double click and first of all I change this combo box name, what I define for this one. That name is CMB. CMB name dot items dot add. Here I define Peter. CMB name dot items dot add. John. File names I add here. Now start this one. This. First of all, this is the predefined name which I mentioned. Now, right now this combo box is blank. I click on show. Here you see all the names. Right? When I click on the button, after that you can see the names. All the names which I defined in that section. So you can add those names by writing code. So writing code we define like this. Combo box dot items dot add. Combo box dot items dot add. So this add is we can say it's a method, or we can say it's a proper method in which we can define any value. Here right now I define a string value. I can define any numbers here. Like in the bottom I add number of CMB. Name CMB name dot items dot add. So this is a which type of value it contain? It contain object. So object is a collection of string, number, date, time, character, single character, anything which you can define in this. Right now I define a one. It works with that also. CMB name dot items dot add. Here I define 100 for example. And why I display that? So that I can show you, you can enter multiple types of value in this combo box. Number, string, character, name, anything, whatever you want it. Now start. Click on this. Right now this is blank. When I click on this button, after that it shows the value. Click this. Right. Martin. Otherwise, I want to define 1234 or serial number or date of birth, anything, whatever I want, I can define with the help of this combo box. Go to PPT again. So, to create a list of sites, select a combo box and view its properties, select the item properties, and you will see the word collection with an ellipsis button. Click this button and change the content of combo box. Add as many website URL as you want or press return after each. Right. So, another one, in place of name, I enter a website, HTTP, or otherwise www. You want to define with protocol www.microsoft.com, http www.google.com, http www. Suppose any site. Right now this is just a big site which I define here. I don't know about this one. Suppose this one. Right. Now I delete this. Now made up this one and run. Again this is blank. Click on show. Show. Why it's not visible? That mouse not working, that's why I can't see that. So click on this. Right. So like this way you can work on the different buttons. You can define different type of value in your combo box. Next one is in a window form, add a web browser control. Web browser control means in which you can see your full-fledged web browser. We know there are different type of web browser. Web browsers are Google Chrome, Firefox, Safari, right? So those web browser I want to see in my window form application. So for that one, I design a new form within the same project. Add new item, and here I create window form add. And I define this one and scroll down. Here you see on the bottom there is a web browser. Just drag and drop it here. This is the web browser, and on this web browser I want for example here a text box. Where is the text box? Bottom. That's not right. So when I type on that URL, so after that it jump to that particular page. Right. So for this one, what we have to do, first of all, I show you how this web browser looks like. I have to start that new one, program CS, and here I define form 2. Start. This one. right? So suppose here I type http www.google.com. So I want that Google page on this form. So how we do that? Close this, double click, and here I define, by default I define web browser 1 dot navigate and new URI. The new URI, here I define URI text box 1 dot text form URI. This. Now I click on start. Here I type http://www.google.com. Go. This Google page is visible. When I maximize it. So right now I create my form as a web browser. I convert my form into a web browser so that I can see different websites. In place of Google, I define Microsoft. Go. This one is the Microsoft site, right? So in this location, they discuss about this web browser. So how you can work with a web browser? You can drag your controls. You can put your controls. You can put a combo box, or you can put a button. So in place of this text box, you can define your own combo box, and you can select from that combo box and run that particular page. So if your web browser controls do not resize easily, first you set it to the desired size and open its properties, locate the dock setting and make sure that it's set to none or setting anchor setting to top to bottom. So right now here I show you the dock property, right click, go to properties and dock. Fill on my complete web browser. Otherwise, where you want to put it. Same like the menu spread. Right, so same thing you can do for this web browser. So top, so it's visible only on the top, right? And start. It's only on the top, bottom section that is blank. Here I type http google.com. Okay, this only on the top. See this scroll bar. So that is a part of a dock. So the web browser control is the control that does all the hard work of rendering the web pages. You can access it in your application through instance of a web browser class. So view form1 designer.cs, you will see the instance of this class has been added to your application code together with instance of the classes that represent other items that you add by using the designer. So using form2 .designer.cs. In this location, this is the instance of my web browser. Instance name is web browser 1. That one you can see here. Automatically it generates an instance. It generates an object for that web browser. So it is these instances that you will be using when you add event handler for and call method on the control. So this one is the same like how to add a button, how to add a text boxes. So that is discussed on this location. So when you click on go button underscore click, after that you define a new window web browser dot navigate, the command which I define on this section. Web browser dot navigate. So I define my text box. You can define your combo box items. So that one is visible here like this. Combo box 1 dot selected item dot toString. After that, when you click on a button, it will show you that particular page. It load that particular page. So the navigate method load and display the content of the web browser. So event handler for the option. So event handler means for my these are event handler for folder. This is the event handler for change color. So how to add a event handler for your menus. So that this that you can check these options after this class. So return to the designer window and calculate each sub item in the menu. Use C# extension event handler for each and edit these methods so that they resemble the following code. So each of these menu handler calls the navigate method and that support on the web browser class. So see the code that Visual C# has written for you, and Visual C# IDE has already written initialized code for you. Right now in this section, automatically generate instances for you, and after that whatever code you want to define, you just type for that. But automatic code is written is this one. This code is automatically visible when you double click on your menu item. So right in the code view, find the constructor for the form1 class, and it has a signature for public form1. Right click the initialize component method for the from inside the constructor, and then click go to definition, and you see. So this is like the predefined example which they discuss about here, but I show my own example. So with the help of that, you can use this one and you can understand it. These are the loads. Loads means different events which is added on this one. Load event I already showed that, like form properties, form 2, this on load, form load. In a form load property, I change that font color of my menu. So the last task is to add some initialized component of your own form1. The constructor should never be used to call any code that might throw exception. So therefore, any such code must be located someplace else. So the location of this is form underscore load method. Click the form.cs design tab at the top of the code editor. Go back to the window form. Select the form and its property window. Click event. So sometime when I run a window form, it show me an error message. So when I double click on those events I defined, but in my code I have not used those ones. That's why it displays error on my screen. So first of all, you have to remove those errors. After that, you can work on that. So when a user start your program, Windows will notify your application form by sending a load event. And when the form receives that event, it will call the form load method and methods that are called in response to the event called event handler. So these are called event handler. Click event, I show you like double click event, key up event, key down event, mouse over, mouse down. Those are the different events, and those events are visible when you click on the design and properties here. These are the events. So the system will call your event appropriate time, and your job is to put the code into an event handler and that you want to execute when the event occurs. So in a code view, add 2 lines in a form underscore load method as show in the following code. This will cause a web browser control to display your computer default home page and also set initial value for your combo box. So you can set an initial value in a combo box by using property. Otherwise, you can set a value in a combo box by writing code in that. Combo box 1 dot add item dot add like that. So build and run. After that, press F5 to build and run your browser. When you run your browser, after that you can see values in your combo box. You can navigate to the particular page of your website. So window form controls. So how to add these different controls. So controls are the objects that are contained within the form object. Each type of control has its own property, methods, and event. You can manipulate a control in a designer and write a code to add a controller dynamically at a runtime. So here I show you these different controls. You can manipulate, you can modify these controls in a design time. Otherwise, you can write a code for that. So Adding a control to a window form, most of the forms are designed by adding control to the surface of the form. So this is called a user interface, in which I drag and drop my controls, and after that I can work on that. To draw a control, open a form, toolbox, then add to your form control which you want to add, just add and drag and drop it where you want. Upper left corner or lower right corner, you can add according to the specific location, and you can increase the size as per the font size. So after dragging, to drag a control to a form, open the form in a toolbox, click a control you want to drag in your form. The control is added to the form in a specific location in a default size, and you can also add control dynamically to a form at a runtime. The following code example: text box control will be added to the form when a button control is clicked. So here is a small example of how to create a new text box, to define a location for that and add the text box. So to add a control without the user interface windows, so a non-visual control provides a functionality to your application unlike other controls. Components do not provide a user interface to the user and thus do not need to be displayed on the Windows Form Designer surface. When a component is added to a form, the Windows Form Designer displays a resizable tray at the bottom of the form where all the components are displayed. Once a control has been added to a component tray, select the component and select the properties. So actually this one here, decided as a tray, and you want to see all the controls in a designer section. It shows you all the controls. How many controls added in your Windows form? To add a component to a window form, open a form, toolbox, click the component and drag it to your form, and your component appears in the component tray. So here, timer class. So can we do this timer class tomorrow? Hello? Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. So we will discuss about this timer class on Friday. Right now we just see what is left on this one. Timer and then grow. Right, there are a few of the things. There are a couple of things which we have to do. Right. So on Friday we will continue from this section, from the timer and panels and rest of the other things. So any doubt?